Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm glad you're here. I'm Jimmy. We're making it work. We're going to spend a day in the shop once I finish getting it opened up. We got a dreary day going on, but that's not going to deter us. Very gloomy, cloudy, and foggy out. I don't know if it's going to rain today or what. It's about 68 degrees right now. It's going to be 78 today, allegedly. But we're not here just for the weather. Nobody have any mufflers? I think I remember Tim, the boat guy, saying something about hooking up one of them 600 horsepower outboards. That way I don't have to row so hard. I'm getting tired. We'll put some clips in so you'll know what to expect in today's video. Try to figure out this Misfire and take this thing for a little drive. So now you have a pretty decent idea about what's going to go on in today's video, whether it's the repair we'll be doing or the car we'll be working on, something like that. I also try to do a decent job with the title saying what happens in today's video. It seems like someone who might be interested in their car's particular repair will want to watch the video just the same as some of you guys just like to hang out with me while I'm fixing cars in the shop. I do my best to try to teach everyone something in every video, and I definitely do my best to be a little goofy and have some fun. That's just how I roll. Whether I'm filming or not, that's who I am. So hope you guys enjoying it. We're just about to hit 22,000 subscribers, so that's awesome. I appreciate all the support the channel's been getting. I sure would like to grow it a little faster. So if you want to share the video around, make sure you get in the comments and mix it up a little bit. Torquing the like button, all that stuff helps. So in any event, we're going to finish getting the shop open up. I'm going to get in there. We're going to get started. Stay tuned. Alright guys, one of the first things we're going to do today, try to figure out this Misfire and this Infiniti. From yesterday, if you watched that video, we were talking about testing injectors, and I ran the GTC 505 on the coils, and number one's definitely behaving oddly. It was jumping from 5 kV to 42 kV back and forth on the primary side of the coil. There's something going on. So I'm wondering if I should even go that far or just try popping a coil in there. I think if I take this boot off of here, I can get to that coil, maybe take this fuel dampener out of the way, and I can probably lift the coil out of there. So we may try that instead of getting too crazy with taking the plenum back off again. This has already been broken and taped up, so I'm kind of nervous about some of that. I think if I take this off with this and just take this clamp off, try to protect this from getting more damage, then we'll probably be all right. It does need a battery too, like I showed you yesterday, so I'm going to still just use a jump box for now to get it running and try to fix the Misfire. Well, needless to say, it didn't make it, so we'll be patching that back up again and get this hose off of here. I might need to take that fuel dampener out of the way, because I'm thinking the coil is going to fit once this hose is out of the way. This is a PCV hose. That broke too. My gracious goodness, the whole car's breaking. When they get old, everything turns to plastic, and the plastic turns to porcelain, and everything's just fragile and breaks. So we got a few things we got to repair besides the Misfire. Makes me a little sad, but let's get that coil out of there. I'm gonna see if I even have one of these in my toolbox. I found a used coil in our shed in the back, but the boot's different, so I put the boot from the old coil on it. This is the one with the V on it. Uh-oh. Capsule. It's a little resistor. It goes in here like this. But I'm going to put this one in. We're going to see how this thing runs. I'm going to just patch up these broken hoses for now and see if the Misfire's good. I'm going to pull a plug out and have a quick peek at that too. Now, if you see a little gas, well, it's been sitting overnight, so maybe not, but if you smell and see a little gas, it's not getting spark. If the plug's dry, it's not getting fuel. It's got that little 14 millimeter plug instead of 16. Nice new plug. Looks like it might have a little gas on it. See, the little chip on there is what makes the plug special, and why you don't want to put a feeler gauge or gapping device in it. Alright, let me get this back together with the new coil, we'll see how it runs. All right, I got a heater hose adapter that puts two pieces of heater hose together, and I JB welded it in there. You guys know how much I love JB weld. It's an act of desperation. I just want to run it and make sure it doesn't misfire before I call it fixed. I'm gonna let this quick JB weld set up 10 minutes or so, and then we're gonna fire it up. All right, JB weld, quick weld has quick welded. Let's see how this thing runs. Hopefully the battery's not completely dead. Doesn't sound good, but it's not misfiring. Let's I'm gonna get this hooked up. I need both hands. Then we'll clear some codes and look at some more data. It's running great now. That's plugged in. My other scanner's done charging, but I already had this one in the car. I turned everything off and left it in the car last night for today. I didn't expect it to be that easy, honestly. It's just how it is, I guess. Automatically search. Confirmed. Yep. I didn't confirm anything, but that's all right. You don't need to. I want to get in here, clear the codes, and see what codes, if any, come back. Clear fault codes. You may want me to turn it off. Oh, no. Okay. The light's out. Exclamation's on because the door's open, maybe? Oh, look at that. No lights. Read fault codes. No DTCs. Let's see if we can find any misfired data. I don't think there was when I looked yesterday. I'm stubborn. I want to try it again. Engine speed. Blah-de-blah-de-blah. Load signal. Mass airflow. Start signal. Vehicle speed. Yeah, no, there's nothing in there. What's SRT status, you know? Catalyst evap. Nope. Shouldn't be this hard to find misfire data, but Ford and Nissan, they like to make the misfire data hard to get to. I'm not sure why, but I do like on Ford, you can use the IDS style pattern now in a lot of those vehicles. But let's see what else we've got here. Work support. Misfire count. Ha! I knew Nissan was good about that stuff. Misfire counts, zeros. Let's try a little gasser. It's funny, just as I hit the gas, the light came on. I'm like, oh, low washer. So someone tuned it up, couldn't figure out it had a bad coil, and didn't top off the washer fluid either. That's terrible. We're gonna fix all that. When we get done with this car, it's gonna be like a brand new 115. 115 is low for this car. They're gonna have a car on the road again. Everyone's gonna be happy. Merry Christmas. That's what I'm saying. You're watching this video the day after Christmas, though. I hope it was a great one for you. I gotta button some things up, take this for a little drive, and we'll see what's next. I think we're gonna, the Nissan Versa note from yesterday, I pulled the mass airflow out and made sure there wasn't any bugs or debris or anything like that in it, and there isn't. She said that she would authorize a couple more hours of diag time, so we want to do it right and not chuck some parts in it. If it was my car, I might honestly put a mass airflow sensor in it. I'm sorry. I might put a mass airflow sensor if it was my car, but I'm not going to have a customer do that because we can't return it if we buy one, so someone's going to have to pay for it. So something very unusual. That's why the dealership couldn't fix it, and the other shop, I think it was, they went to like a tire store for most of the work, and the dealership did some stuff. We're going to figure it out. That's the bottom line. We might have to dance, we might have to row, but we'll get it. Let's fire this thing up and take this thing for a little drive. I heard a belt squeak when I started it right there. If the belt needs to be tightened for that squeak, that's one thing. It won't cause our problem. Auto search, get this car in here. I'm going to bring up mass airflow and throttle data PIDs, and then we will see which one acts up when the problem occurs. If it's one of those, if it's not neither of those, and they all look pretty good when it acts up, then we're really going to be grasping at straws. If it's not mass air or throttle body, then it's the transmission staying in the wrong gear intermittently, or a long shot would be fuel pressure not quite where it should be. But the fact that you play with the gas and then it goes and has plenty of power, the fuel pressure is the last thing I'm thinking would be the issue. Doesn't mean I couldn't be wrong. Just means I'm probably not. System selection. Let me get this data in, we'll go for a drive. I brought up the air fuel sensor, bank 1, which it looks like it's a little high to me. But I haven't looked up the data parameters, what they want to see. The mass airflow is at 1.25. Throttle position, which is the throttle body. They should always agree. If they don't agree, you got trouble. So my brake switch looks to be working right now, but I'm going to make sure, even if I did power brake it in the shop, it doesn't do the problem while I'm intentionally holding the brakes. So I don't think I need those data PIDs. Let's go back, take them off, just so there's less going on while I'm checking this stuff, so I can fit everything on the screen at the same time. Mass airflow, throttle position, closed throttle, the alternator duty cycle. If the alternator duty cycle goes to 100%, then I know it's not happy with the battery voltage, it's trying to keep the battery voltage good. Air fuel ratio, if that goes crazy one way or another, then it's going lean. So we should have all our bases covered. Let's go for a drive. What do you say? I see the Land Rover ladies back. You might remember I told them last week that it's got some oil leaks, rear main seal, front timing cover, oil cooler possibly, very slight. It also has transmission issues. We put 1.5 quarts of tranny fluid in it, and a little bit of that 1/2 quart came out, so really only about 1 quart low. But when it's cold, it doesn't want to go into gear until you warm it up a little bit, which is transmission. It's got 240,000 miles on it or something, which for a Land Rover, that's impressive. Usually by 45,000 miles are junk. Sorry, Land Rover fans. I know it's a cool status symbol, but they're junk. Anyway, we're going to watch this data. We're going to drive this car. We're going to worry about what we're doing to the Land Rover later. Come on. You're a parts delivery person. What are you doing? Should be looking to go. Like I am. Alright, we're driving. And we'll see how this thing goes. Condos, townhouses, and traffic. That's what I'm talking about. My plan here is, if this thing acts up, to reach over and touch that record button while I'm trying to drive. I'll just go over and bink, hit that little triangle, and I won't have to look at the screen right away. I'll be able to pull over and see what we saw, and I'll show you if something happens. Well, that's decel alignment. That's normal. Where it went way up lean. As you're slowing down, it basically almost turns off the fuel injectors, or does turn off the fuel injectors. Goes to about 40-to-1 fuel ratio, but air fuel, it did not do it for me. I drove it 6 miles, so I'm gonna see if there's something else important to do. If not, we'll take it for another drive. If there's something else to do, we may drive it a little later. I know one thing, it's not going to be an easy fix at this point. It's going to be driving with the scan tool on it over and over again until something weird happens with one of these data lines, and then and even that won't tell you what's wrong. It'll just tell you where to look. Ooh, she's rough. She's been through some stuff. Customer put a battery in because the battery light was on, but the battery light's still on. What the heck? Got ants in the car, and everything's tight, but that's not right. Let's see if it's charging. The 2012 or 2013 Kia Soul Train. 2012. Look at the mileage. Ready? Prepare yourself. It's gonna be shocking. 173,686. Battery lights on. We'll go in 3. Borderline. I want to say 2 almost, but I'm feeling generous today, so we're going 3. Let's hook this thing up and see what it says. Is it going to give it a 2 or a 3? The battery's not in the tray right. It's not the right size, so we're headed off on the wrong foot already. I'm feeling kind of sad. Not charging. Needs an alternator. I'm going to go down here and see. Charging test, start engine. It's going to read AC ripple, which is good. It's going to tell me to rev it up, which I'm not gonna. I just want to see what it's charging at. No output. That's what I thought. I'm going to put the scanner on it and see if it's trying to make a charge. All my connections look good. Someone's been messing with it already. You could even hook this up right at the alternator, but that would only show you if you had a bad cable, the main cable, which is very, very rare. So no reason to go berserk. Let's get a scanner though and see if it thinks the alternator should be charging. It'll probably have a code if it does. All right, we'll get the scanner hooked up, hopefully for the battery dies and stuff. I got everything off, fan and everything, so it'll run quite a while at 12.3 volts. So this thing won't give trouble and try to shut off till about 10 volts. If the alternator's bad, the duty cycle will be at 80% or more. Assuming this 2012 has that type of system, most of them would, but not all. This is an economy car, but we're assuming it's going to have it. We're going to look. A lot of times in this business, people pretend that you should start jumping through hoops right away. But you eliminate the basics and you try some simple things. The jumping through hoops part is after the simple things that would normally work haven't worked. If that makes sense, I hope. But that's how I do it. I'm not going to start busting out scopes and lab equipment and getting scientists down here from NASA. I'm going to do what I need to do to get it sorted out as quickly and easily as possible. Even though it's probably not quite as impressive. To me, it's impressive to not waste a bunch of time because I'm on flat rate. I got this Prius in the shop, by the way, you might see from the other day. It needs the power booster pump assembly, but they got me the master cylinder. So now, I didn't start taking it apart yet because I knew the part was wrong. But the guy at the parts department actually, funny story about parts guys. I said I need the power booster pump assembly, and he said it's all in one unit. The master cylinder has everything. I said no, it doesn't. So we got it out of the box. It doesn't have everything, and I showed him the difference between a pump assembly and the power booster assembly. It's on the way, and we're going to do that tomorrow, even though the parts guy insisted we had everything we needed. But the parts guy doesn't know what he's talking about. PO420 engine control module, ESP, signal error in history, electronic stability, airbag event, battery voltage low, battery voltage low, battery voltage low, TPMS codes, auto learning failure, radio frequency failure. So we got some codes. The cat codes and all, they're not going to cause it to not charge. It's kind of strange it doesn't have any charging codes. But I'll find a data pid for charging. Oh, that's a bummer.
The pump lines.
Whee!
And it doesn't fucking go in neutral or reverse or drive or reverse.
Holy shit, man. There is no... Oh, the camera's already on. That's cool. There's no data pid for charging. So I can't get to see that. I'm going to have to watch my editing because the camera didn't turn off when I turned it off. There's no data pid for it, and there's no codes. Very unusual. So I'll get a quick picture of the alternator connections. We could put a voltmeter in and see what they all read. Generally, you're going to have a battery voltage one. The ground will be through the case. You won't have that. You'll have a signal from the ECM. Sometimes you'll have an output back to the ECM. So we'll take a look at that. Okay, I got the key on, engine off, and we're going to test for 12 volts or ground or whatever's going on in these two alternator terminals. Battery voltage, battery voltage. So that's all good. Let's make sure we don't have any voltage drop at the main lug. We'll go from positive to positive, and any voltage drop will go through the meter instead of the cable. It's showing 0. It's good in an alternator. I think I got a couple other things to do. Something about a marker bulb not working in a high performance Dodge Challenger, and see if we can make something happen today. So far we're striking out, but we're checking stuff. Half-size socket came in handy. 21 wouldn't even go on it. 22 and a half. This is a Dodge Challenger. It's got a marker light out. It's LED. So it's got, the car's got a bunch of aftermarket LEDs and stuff. I'm gonna try to figure out why the light doesn't work. That's the bottom line. It's a 2012 or 2013 with like 175,000 miles on it. All the lights on the dash, ABS, check engine. See what's going on. I'm gonna guess it's been custom wired by someone who goes on YouTube channels and makes comments about how they don't know what they're doing. That's what someone said. My hub bearing video gets a lot of views and comments. Seems like a lot of people who have no idea what you're talking about have a lot to say. That's pretty funny. If you have no idea what you're talking about, but you feel compelled to tell somebody they don't know what they're doing, congratulations. I'm trying to get this wheel liner out of my way a little better. A little more better. Oh, custom wiring. So it's an LED. So if you wire these backwards, they don't work. I don't know if you can see that, but if you wire positive to negative, it won't light. It only lights in one direction. Regular bulb doesn't care. An LED does. It's basically a diode, and a diode only flows electricity in one direction, right? So it's not going to work in the wrong direction. Anywho, let's get a bungee, pull this out of the way, see if we can move some wires around. Let's try flipping this over. I'm going to put my voltmeter in here and see if I have power and ground. I need to get another probe on that one. I'm going to drop that meter too. This socket might be no good, so it looks like it's pretty sketch. See a lot of spreading going on. There's no voltage there. Okay. Now I'm going to test it back at his connections he made. I don't want to pierce them if I can avoid that, but I don't know if I'll get in. Let's just disconnect them. Ugh. Something's happening. Let's see if we have power here. Nope. Power here. I'm going to have to pierce these wires. I don't know if we've got good contact in these connectors. It's all part of the show. I'll do anything for you guys. Pierce that wire. Huh. Let's try the other one. I might not have any power down here, which means a break in the wire somewhere else. Yeah, there's no power down here. Could be no ground. Let's make sure of that. I'm gonna have to look at a wiring diagram. White and purple and black and blue. And which one's supposed to have ground? Alright, I got my ground. This rim light works and it looks like it's grounded to that bracket. So I got my ground from there. I'm gonna see if I got power over here. And I do not. Tried jiggling my connection. I got just a little bit of something, but nothing to brag about. I'm gonna walk around the other side of the car to make sure the other marker light's still on. Might have timed out by now. Yeah, it's timed out. Well, that defeats the purpose of that test. That's about how it's all going lately, but it's all right. Keep rolling. All right, that was the excitement for today. That's as exciting as this video is gonna get. I gotta turn it on. I'm gonna open the door and turn the lights on again. Make sure to turn them off and back on. They should stay on for another 10 minutes or so. I got no power where I'm supposed to have power. We gotta find out where that goes. It's connected right here. Should be to 1. Alright, this is the output. This purple, white with purple is in the top right. I'm going to get the voltmeter on that. Something's happening. Something's happening other than a caveman. 7 or 8 volts. 7 or 8 volts. It should be working the light, you would think, but Maybe it's not getting through this connector, or there's a break in the wire. Those are our possibilities. Let's do this. Probably not the best ground in the world, so I'm just looking for anything on there. I wish these leads were a little bit longer. Like 1 foot more, they'd be perfect. Yeah, it's getting through the connector. There's something in this wiring harness probably is not what it's supposed to be. See if it's pinched or damaged somewhere. Alright, I think we got it figured out. I only got 4 volts, kind of strange. But there was some wires crossed over here. It was black to white and white to black. So I just put them all white to white and black to black. So they go from this connector over to that 4-wire plug. And then they go from that over to the other side. So I got the whole harness out of the car. I couldn't find any brakes. If I just move it around, it seems like it changes too. But I think it's going to work if I plug the light back in. Let's find out. Alright, I tried jumping to this fog light circuit. The car doesn't have fog lights. They would go here if it did. It's also on 12 volts in park. So I tried jumping it just to see if I can get this to light, and it lights dimly. I only get 4 or 5 volts, so there's got to be high resistance in this circuit somewhere. If I jump from this to this LED, it lights. But if I use any of that wire, it doesn't. So there's got to be high resistance corrosion in the wire. I'm just going to have to run a new wire. I got way too much time in it already just trying to pinpoint exactly where the problem is. But now I got the alternator for that one, and some other things are happening. So we're going to run a wire, get this thing to light, and be done with it. Alright, it is not the prettiest wiring job you're ever going to see, but it wasn't pretty before. But they both work now. So that's what really matters. And the sweet green wheel lights, oh yeah, like a new car. That battery terminal looks like it's salvageable. Got my little clipper doodle out of the bracket connector and the cable. Now it's 2 12s and I think a 14 on the bottom. Now that 14 down here, that alternator looks like it's pretty easy. Am I going to find a secret? Something about holding it in harder? It pays like 1.3 hours. It looks like a easy one. I shouldn't brag yet. Don't worry, we'll be okay. We'll be alright. I'm going to grab a 14. Try to keep myself out of trouble. This might fit in here. That's going to be interesting. Where those wires go to. Looks like it'll clear them. This bottom bolt's probably Honda tight. No, not too bad. Let's see here. Got a belt for it too. He doesn't want to do the valve cover gasket or the air filter or that stuff, but one good thing, at least it'll be charging when we're done. I'm going to get the belt off of there. Water pump pulley should be smooth so I can pull it off there. Now, I might have to take this bracket off. I'm not sure if there'll be enough room in here. I'm going to find out right now. You don't want to pry in here because there's a cam solenoid right there. So we're not going to pry on that. We're going to pry right here. The lower brackets usually has a sliding bushing, so it gets kind of snug feeling even without a bolt in it. Oh, they're pretty good. Tell you what, it'd be a lot better if I could go in here, but then we'll end up needing more parts. Let's see here. These wires are caught on something back here. Just keeping the other wire from moving out of the way. And it is on that lower bracket. I'll show you what it looks like and how that works once we get it off. I always have to make sure there's no heater tubes or coolant overflow bottle hoses that are going to get cracked or something. Everything's got so much plastic in it nowadays, you really got to be aware. Man, that thing is in there. Got the icon persuader. Got a little corrosion. I wonder if that could be a factor. They're usually not anywhere near this much work. Of course, you turn a camera on, all kinds of stuff goes off the rails. Or at least seems that way. I'd be a little gentler if this was going back on and I was doing it as part of another repair. Goodness gracious. I knew I shouldn't have bragged. There you go. Just had to get this bushing to slide over a little bit before I even take the alternator out and make sure my belt is going to be right. That looks right. This is remanufactured, so I do need the coil. I'm glad I didn't break it. I thought it was going to be new. Not bad. I said it's got the 2-wire connector. Okay, let me go let them know it's wrong. Whoa, you guys remember this one from yesterday? Well, we're waiting on the correct alternator. Oh, I also got my parts for the Prius. Everything's coming together real quick. We're gonna have one day to get it all done. Will be the first time I've done it. I will get it done. This is the clock spring. I'm fighting with a Ziploc bag because I'm hanging on to you guys for dear life. I want you to hang out with me. Don't go! It's got a lock pin. This little yellow clip comes off after you install it. Snaps into place too. Maybe that's why it's only 0.9 labor. He's like, I got you the clock spring coming. Here's your paperwork. I'm like, 0.9? Yeah, that's what the labor guide said. Okay, must be easy. And it looks like it probably is. You do have to take the steering wheel off and stuff. So, I'll show you my trick for that if you haven't seen my other videos. I will show you my trick for that. Set this airbag aside. Never set the airbag like this, because somehow through magic or whatever makes it happen, if this thing decides to pop, then it shoots itself up and does a lot of damage. If you do it this way, all that happens is the airbag comes out and everyone will be a little bit happier, except for the fact that you got to buy another airbag. So some electrical connectors. That one's part of the clock spring. So what I'm gonna have to do now, looks like a 21mm nut, and there's 2 threaded holes for a puller. Although I'd normally let the world's loudest safety stop. Like, he's 2 bays over. Sounds like he's right in my ear. 21mm. I'll buzz that off of there. But then what I'll do is I'll put the nut back on a turn or two, so I don't whack myself in the teeth. My teeth are messed up enough without having the steering wheel come in there and mess with my pretty face and all that stuff, my beautiful smile. I can probably twist the wheel and pop it, and then the nut will keep it from coming all the way off. That's basically what I'm trying to say without being silly. So let's get a 21 and see. Set the light up so we got professional lighting, professional level lighting. It's like a studio in here now. I hope my little 3/8 can do it. It is a lock nut, so that's cool. Couple threads back on. Now, bonk. And you can see the force that lets go. That's why I put this back on a couple turns, because you're not gonna have it release and stop it at the same time. You might feel like a superhero right until it smashes you in the face. Now don't put this on top of the airbag either. Can I sneak it out of there? Nope. It's underneath the cover, so I gotta get a Phillips. We'll get that cover out of the way. It should all just be snap in place. 1, 2, 3 electrical connectors and a couple of clips once the covers are off. Probably some under here. Sometimes they're all snapped. The rest, oh, there's one. Sometimes they're not. Where is it here? See if I can do it by feel. It's right there. What's the big deal? Now we're cooking. Gonna pry from an area that's behind the steering wheel. It's got to come off the lock cylinder. And that should work. Now, I'm not sure how much slack is in these connectors. One, let's do this, little clip, and there's one up here. Now I can see the connectors a little better. That one, the airbag one, here it is, inside here. Might have to get tricky with it, like Will Smith. Maybe that's not how it goes. Some of these airbag connectors, you slide one way and pull another way, and so we'll figure it out. I don't think, yeah, this should come up. Oh, this is a double one. Ugh. Show you what I had to do. I had to depress this little lever inside here so that this could go down. That was interesting. Actually, when you depress this lever, this slides back, I should say. And it lets go. You're going to take your old clock spring, discard it as you see fit. Snap, crackle, pop, wrench it all the way on. And this will pop in place. That's why it's only 0.9. It really is pretty easy. Now I'm going to leave this on until I get everything back together. And I believe the steering wheel won't go on with this there. I just pop it off right before I put the steering wheel on. Make sure if this turns, you won't be sure where 0 is. And you can do them by feel. If you're real gentle, you'll feel it start to tug and you go back the other way. Count the turns. If it's 4, then you know you got to go back 2. And you'll be in the middle if you lose center, but why go through all that trouble? Leave the lock in until you're ready. I just watched a Royalty Motors video, real good, talking about torquing the wheels. He goes just a tiny bit overboard by only putting a nut on until they touch like a foot-pound or 2. My gun, if you've been watching my videos a while, you know I get them to about 70, 75 foot-pounds, and it's usually within a quarter turn or so, except for whatever nut I tighten first. Sometimes it'll take about 3/4 of a turn, but they're almost always in the ballpark. If it's a truck, I go a little harder because a lot of trucks can be torqued to 110, 130, 140 foot-pounds. The cars, they start in the 70s, like 76 foot-pounds and up. So you got to be careful torquing wheels. He made a good video about it. Sherwood seems like a good dude. I won't hold his youth against him. Oh, that will fit. I can leave it on. That's cool. Now, I did have the steering wheel straight when I brought it in, but there's also a mark on the wheel, so you can make sure. Now, if I put it off a tooth, it will go on. You want to make sure it's centered. I can lock my tilt again. Take this off. Boop, boop, boop. Where is my nut? There it is. Put that on there. This gets plugged into here. That goes in my airbag, same as it was. And blue to blue, yellow to yellow. Make sure you set your latch. These orange clips will lock it in. These are Torx. in case you're doing this for yourself. T30 Torx hold the airbag onto the wheel. You got a righty tighty, lefty loosey. You look a little horny. Alright, all that's left to do now is see if the codes go away. One quick way to tell would be to start it up, see if the airbag light goes out. I believe it'll put the light out itself if the problem's fixed. It does a test of the light, and the light goes out. Boom, problem solved. I will get the scanner and clear the codes. We're going to put a gas cap on it too. I think they might have already done that for me. We're going to clear the codes. If anything does come back, we get the light again, we'll hope it's a new code, but we'll see. At least I'll know they're cleared out to begin with. Maybe by the time I get the scanner and do that, we'll have the alternator back. You saw yesterday's video, you saw that it was smoking out of the gas cap, and smoking is bad for you. Uh-oh. We got another alternator, but this one looks a lot more like it, but it has the wrong connector. They said there was 2 possibilities. There must be 3. All right, I'll be right back. All right, we got us an Alternator, and that's been triple tested. That's the good part. I'm starting to bolt because it does have that channel I was talking about up in there. I'm even going to use the new nut. Got a washer built on, so that's cool. The other one's got some corrosion, even though I like the other one a little better. This one doesn't have any corrosion. So let's drop this thing in here and see if we can get this one fixed today too. I should be paying them for this one, it's so easy. I want to hook up my other wires before I get too carried away here. They were talking about a can of beef stew for 74 cents. I'm like, what?
I was watching I found this really cool YouTube video on Levittown. And you know,
oh yeah?
Yeah.
The old stomping grounds.
And it showed like, I swear, there was a gas sign somewhere. It said like 50 cents or like 30 cents a gallon of gas. And I was like, what the fuck?
When I was a kid, it was 60-something cents. And I remember when it first hit 99 cents after 74 with Carter and stuff, it hit like 79 and 89 and 99. People were freaking out, man. I was like, whoa, everyone's mad. Not like nowadays. What's funny is while we're talking about it, he didn't know the camera was on. Gas is actually cheaper per gallon now than it was back then because of inflation. And minimum wage back then was like $2.25. So a gallon of gas was half of what minimum wage was, right? So if minimum wage now is what, $8 or $7.75 or something. So that means a gallon of gas should be around $3.50, $4 to feel like it costs the same. Back when I was a kid, if you were making $20,000 a year, you were doing pretty well. Yeah, I'm old, that's right. Get on their belt, will you? Come on, man. That's what someone said, like the gas was 19 cents a gallon in the 20s. And I'm like, yeah, that was about an hour's wages.
Right, yeah, right.
Yeah, so it didn't feel cheap to them at the time.
Eventually this whole fucking like thing's gonna fail, right? Like, I mean, like we're gonna be back to like spears and
spears and rocks.
You feel comfortable installing downpipe?
What's a downpipe?
What, you talking about aftermarket as well?
Turbo.
Yeah, that's all I'm like. You know you should know that one.
It's illegal for us to put mods on a newer car that has emissions. It's actually against the law.
Yeah, I know that.
It has to be like a 374, otherwise you can't put stuff like that on.
Is that like this shop thing appropriate or like
It's any federal law.
Okay.
You can't put headers and downpipes and cat eliminator pipes and aftermarket cams that don't meet carb standards. You're not supposed to do any of that stuff.
Gotcha.
So you can get, the chances of getting cars pretty slim, but there have been some shops with videos online This one diesel shop, he was doing diesel mods, running them on dyno and showing how fast they were, and making videos.
Oh, you people.
$500,000 in fines.
$500,000?
Basically shut his business down, bankrupt.
Yeah.
People need to stop messing with their daily drivers, man. Come on. You got a second car or something, that's cool. Do whatever you want. I think I've said it enough times now. Everybody knows how I feel about it. Trying to get it on the water pump here. Oh, there it goes. Something's happening. That helps. That helps. It's on the crank down there. Life is good. There you go. Next weekend, I'm taking the 2 days after Christmas off, Thursday and Friday, so I'm only working a day and a half Christmas week. Gonna be light on videos. I'll do my best, but just since I've been doing mostly oil changes this week, there's just not gonna be a lot to work with. But I may make a video about the clock spring separately and some interesting things that are a little unusual. I apologize if it's repetitive for my favoritist viewers that watch all my content. But we're gonna do what we can do to make sure something's happening. At least 3 or 4 days out of the week. I'm gonna snug this a little more. Uh-oh, the other way. Now this way. I'm gonna have to run it a few minutes and then recheck the belt tension. It's about a 5 to 20 minute break-in period for a belt. Most of the time I'll just go a tiny bit tighter than I would think. And then after it runs a little while, it's good. But you definitely want to recheck it after you run a little bit. Which we're going to do in just a minute. Oh man. It's already mangled so bad I got to over tighten it a little more, but at least it's all the way on now. I feel better. What we're going to do now is fire it up and see what happens. Oh, I hear the alternator charging. I don't need to see nothing. Look at that. Took the light off. I can hear it. Oh man. I should do this for a living. You know what? That makes me so happy. I'm going to give him some washer fluid. It's free anyway. Hey, but you know what? After free diagnosis, I know why it's empty. The ultimate test, see if the battery lights out. That's why he came in after all. Oh, look at that thing. 173,686. My goodness. You can trust Kia. I think we're going to start on the Prius next. I got to park some of these cars. I'm just fixing them left and right around here. All of a sudden, when the parts are here, boom, done. Just like that, and turn my 17-hour week around. Well, it's getting kind of late, and Dre is taking us for dinner tonight, like a little business meeting thing we're gonna do. And I said, free food, I'm there. So we're gonna start on this, but we're gonna start on this, but we won't get it done.
The office.
14. Gotta take the wiper cowl off and stuff. I probably don't have to, but it sure seems a lot easier to get to it. It's underneath here. Sometimes you gotta take the brake master out of the way just to do them too, but we'll see. I'm gonna try not to do any of that crazy stuff. All right, this came off because it wasn't plugged in or anything. It's probably been off a few times. With you saw the mileage on this the other day when I looked at it, 370,000 miles. There's a bunch of 10s. I believe you got to take this out because they hid some bolts underneath it. Plus it kind of hooks in there. And then you take these 10s out and you'll be able to see everything a lot better in that corner. glass right here. So be careful. It says 3L plus F left hand. Kind of all folds and stuff. That's what we're changing. That was the motor I was clicking on the other day with the screwdriver. I think it was yesterday, day before maybe. Today's what, Thursday? Yeah. Whew. The week is flying by. This bracket, I'm going to take this reservoir and kind of move it out of my way. I'll probably suck all the brake fluid out of there because otherwise it's going to leak out. And it should be closer to it. I didn't take the brake fluid out yet. I'm just anxious to get a closer look. My brake flushing tool doubles as a brake fluid evacuator. Maybe there's a slot in there somewhere. I'm going to minimize the mess here. So I'm going to do that. It'll still make a mess. Just not as bad. Now I'm thinking I can sneak this out. The last time I did one, pretty sure that's what I did, but it's been a while, so I'm a little fuzzy. Alright now. Don't make me get the big tools, you'll be sorry. You gotta give it a turn or two. Get it to unseat. It's bad enough with the wiper blade deal. Now I can't get a hose off. You have to call in an expert. There you go. I don't know what I'm gonna learn. You're asking nice, it's not gonna happen. Now I gotta take this bracket out of the way. Just to get my mitts in there a little better. Squeeze that, pull that out of there. A couple of electrical connectors, brake line back here. Wasn't really that tight, but once that's off, there's a couple of mounting bolts and these rubber bushings. I got the nut off of that one already. I don't remember if you have to turn that nut after you take the 10mm nut off. You might have to turn that large nut. I don't remember if it's just a washer. Gotta figure that out. Shouldn't be too bad though. And there's a little 10 on the bracket that this red coated brake line is. It shows you that it's a particular brake line. It has to be from the accumulator to the booster. The accumulator and motor power the booster. And they call this thing the booster, though there's not much to it. It has the module on it and the master cylinder. Kind of strange how they do it all, but they know way more than me about it. I know that much. Let's see if I can get this 10 out of here. Maybe at the box end. Ooh, that was tight. So that'll go. And I think there's a second one of these in the back. That's the fun one. I think that's the one they really make you work for. Alright guys, get ready to shut this thing down. Kyle left early today. I was wondering where he was. He doesn't feel good. I'm hoping I'm not going to catch whatever he has because Bill had it, now Kyle's got it. It's right in time for Christmas. We'll see what happens. In any event, thanks for watching today. We'll work on that Prius some more first thing in the morning tomorrow. I hope you torque the like button before you head out, and I hope I'll see you then too, because you're awesome.